Hello friends, with Chelsea bringing in an inordinate amount of players in the last two transfer windows and their spending in January eclipsing some of Europe's top 5 leagues, Chelsea are going to need to get some players off the books, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing here today. Join me as we go through 5 players which I think Chelsea need to sell. If you enjoyed the video, please leave it with a like and subscribe if you haven't for more content like this coming very soon. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well, you don't want to miss what's coming up in the near future. But now, let's talk about the 5 players that I think Chelsea must sell. Up first, we have Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, a player who has definitely been suffering due to Chelsea's random and scattergun transfer strategy. Graham Potter clearly doesn't like him, and he was brought in by a previous manager, whom was then sacked a few weeks later. So he's not happy, he's not playing football, and he also hasn't been included in their Champions League squad. So it begs the question, if you're not going to play him in the league and you're not going to play him in the Champions League, what's the point in keeping him around? You paid around about £10 million to get him from Barcelona, and he's just not playing football. Now, he might be a bad egg around the dressing room, and that's fine, but you need to get him out of the club as quickly as possible then, which means that Aubameyang needs to be a player that should be sold by Chelsea in the near future. Up next is a player that should come at no surprise to anyone, it's Hakim Ziyech. I don't think his Chelsea career has really ever gotten started, and the promise of that form that he had at Ajax just hasn't been fulfilled. He clearly isn't happy with his time at Chelsea, and I'm sure he's seeing all of these young new prospects coming through the door and wondering where his game time is going to be. There's a reason why he was stood outside the doors of Paris Saint-Germain on the deadline day, waiting to get his move on loan to PSG, but it's not a loan move that I think Chelsea need to get. I think he needs to just be let go and allowed to go and explore different options. It's a bit strange playing him after his move was so close to going through. It's rumoured that he called Todd Boehly begging him to let him leave, and when it didn't materialise, he was absolutely distraught. So I think it's best for both parties if they just part ways. Ziyech hasn't performed the way that I think a lot of people expected him to, and I don't think Chelsea have exactly conducted themselves in the greatest manner with regards to fitting him into a system with a manager and a style of play that would get the best out of him. So overall, I think it's best if both companies part ways. Up next is a player that I'm sure has Chelsea near and dear to his heart, but unfortunately, I just don't think he has the quality. It was in his most recent game against Borussia Dortmund that really gave me that stark contrast that I needed to realise that Loftus-Cheek just isn't quite Chelsea material. He was playing against a player who was 8 years his junior, and that was Jude Bellingham, a 19-year-old prospect that has the world at his feet, and unfortunately he did every single thing better than Ruben Loftus-Cheek, whether it was driving with the ball, whether it was tackling, whether it was mobility, whether it was finding pockets of space. He just did that job so much better, and it made me wonder whether Loftus-Cheek would ever reach those heights or anywhere near those heights, and unfortunately I think the answer is no. Loftus-Cheek had an amazing season at Crystal Palace, and I still think he's almost living off the memory of that, especially in some Chelsea fans' eyes, but I think he needs to go away and almost have a new start, a new refresh, especially with the likes of Enzo Fernandez and Mateo Kovacic in the side. I just don't see where he plays. I'm sure Chelsea are going to be looking for different options, but I just don't see him in the long-term future of this first-team Chelsea side, and that means that I think he needs to move on. Will Graham Potter find a spot for him? Possibly. Will Graham Potter improve him? Again, possibly. But these are all maybes, and with the amount of players in Chelsea's squad, some people are going to have to be cut. Unfortunately for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I think it might be him. While we're on the topic of midfielders, injuries have unfortunately been a prevalent theme in the recent part of N'Golo Kante's Chelsea career. And with the additions of Enzo Fernandez and Mateo Kovacic, it would seem that Kante's position has been taken. Even if he comes back from injury, will the performance and the level of attitude and application that he had still be there? He's been out for such a long time, I wonder whether Chelsea as a squad are beginning to move on. And then you have the youngsters coming through the ranks like Andre Santos, who will be fitting into this Chelsea system before too long. Which begs the question, where does N'Golo Kante fit into this Chelsea side? Perhaps he becomes a bit part player, but I'm not sure that he wants to do that. Perhaps Chelsea would be better off making the most of his €30 million transfer market valuation and getting some money back in for him while they still can. I'm sure there'll be some suitors at the door waiting to take N'Golo Kante off Chelsea's hands, and if he's going to be this injury prone, if he's going to be this out of the team, it might pay them to be able to offload him before too long. Graham Potter, I'm sure, is an admirer of N'Golo Kante, but sometimes things just don't work out, and with the amount of toys that Graham Potter has to play with, it makes you wonder how much N'Golo Kante is in Graham Potter's plans. And if the answer is not a lot, it might be time to move on. You remember that player that Chelsea signed for 100 million euros who ended up deciding that he didn't want to stay in England and preferred Italy? He didn't like the Chelsea fans and preferred the Inter Milan fans, and then ended up really wanting to leave Chelsea even though he'd literally just signed for them. Yeah, that's a thing still. And Chelsea decided that it would be best to send him out on loan because it would make him happy, it would make the club happy, and it would swipe the problem away. No, the problem still exists, and Chelsea are going to need to deal with it in the summer. Romelu Lukaku is a very expensive player. He's an asset to the club that needs to be dealt with accordingly. Yes, he might not want to be there, but he still is on the books. He still has a 3-year contract with Chelsea. He's still being paid ridiculously high wages, and they're going to need to sort out this problem sooner rather than later. They can't just let it linger, and they can't just put him out on loan for the next 3 years hoping that he finds a home. Graham Potter probably doesn't have any spot for him. If he did, I'm sure they would have recalled the loan, and even if Graham Potter did want him, I'm pretty sure that Romelu Lukaku doesn't want to return to Chelsea. So what do? Both parties have to go their separate ways. They have to part company, and they have to say, look, it didn't work out, and just split. That's what they have to do, but therein lies a different problem. One that I will leave you with. Where does Romelu Lukaku go? The amount of money that he's on will dissuade a lot of clubs, and the amount that he will cost is probably more than a lot of European giants are willing to pay. So what happens? Where does he go? Who pays for him? What is the answer? Please let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. All I know at the moment is that Chelsea need to sell Romelu Lukaku. That's it for today, guys. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave the video with a like and subscribe if you haven't for more content like this coming very soon. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well. You don't want to miss what's coming up in the near future. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on the players that I think that Chelsea should sell. Who do you think they should sell? Should they get rid of anyone? And if so, who? Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. But like I said, that's it from me for today. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care of yourselves and bye-bye.